What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Round the Track with the Riders, featuring myself, SterlingRider, and
What's
Duke
up?
Rider. I know it's
What's
been a
up?
minute. It's been a minute, but we're back. We're going to go over all the silly season updates. We're going to preview and talk about the playoffs. I went back. I wrote down our preseason playoff predictions. I'll just say right now, neither of us were close. Well, we kind of were,
Yeah,
but
I
we'll talk
disagree.
about it. We'll talk about that and a couple other updates. So it's been a while, but we're back to catch up on the end of the regular season. So what do we want to start
Yeah,
with?
we weren't going to do anything until after the season was over, but so much has happened that we need to talk about that we decided to go ahead and then plus with our playoff stuff, that's why we're not doing the gaming thing right now too. To be able to go over because it's going to be hard to look at things while we're playing games. And we've got to be able to look at our preseason predictions. We got to be able to look at our predictions coming up. And what we're going to do is if we have an opportunity between after the round of 16 and then after the round of 12, we're going to do another podcast. And then, of course, after the round of 8, and then, of course, postseason. If we get an opportunity, barring how schedules work. If schedules don't work out, we probably won't do anything until after the round of 8, before the Final Four, before Phoenix, but we'll definitely do one then where we look at our brackets and how they're working out, and we predict our champion. So, which going back and looking at our preseason picks, obviously we have to change. Both of us have to change our Final Four because we both had somebody in the Final Four that didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
We'll have to change our Final Four, obviously, with those that are in the playoffs. But I don't know about you. I'm not changing my championship prediction. Listening to all the podcasts this week, there's a lot of people that are still really high on the guy that I picked. They believe that down during the summer months, due to experimentation, got a bunch of wins at the beginning of the season, down in the summer months due to experimentation. And now that it's playoff time, it's time to implement everything that they've learned, and they're going to go on a tear. And I tend to agree with them. So we'll get started. The first thing that we need to note is the charter agreements have still not been made. NASCAR hopes to get it done this week. From everything I've heard, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. The Curtis Polk, who works for 2311, he is their team manager. He's worked for Michael Jordan for a lot of years. Had a shirt on with a piece of paper taped to the back of his shirt that said, "Do not ask me about the charter agreement because if I disparage NASCAR, I might lose it," or something along those lines. So rumor has it they've talked about, and Denny even talked about it on his podcast, actually Detrimental, said that there has been a new clause put in there where teams, drivers, team members cannot say anything negative about NASCAR, which I'm going to call BS on. That completely takes away from the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. If NASCAR cannot handle criticism, NASCAR needs to turn it over to somebody that can, because NASCAR has screwed up a lot of calls this year.
yes.
NASCAR they've got some things right, but they've screwed up some other things. The schedule for next year has a lot of hiccups. We're not going to talk about that on this show. We'll talk about that on our post show and then our pre-show for next year. All of the different schedule stupid things that they've put in there. But right now, the most important thing to note is these charter agreements still have not been made. And from everything that I'm hearing, the smaller teams like JTG, maybe Legacy, and a few other the smaller teams are going to go ahead and sign, but the bigger teams like 2311, Hendrick Motorsports, JGR are still holding out. for what they asked for, because they're not. It seems like NASCAR's not even in a bend and not break scenario. They're just in a, you're going to have it. This is not Burger King. You're going to have it our way, or you're not going to have it at all. And NASCAR needs to bend. NASCAR needs to break a little bit on this subject, in my opinion. They should have had this done.
Oh, absolutely. It should have been done way long ago. As we said multiple times in past episodes, it should have been done before the season really started. But it's not. Yeah. And now we're going into postseason, which is the playoffs, and it's still not made. So that's kind of ridiculous. Bad call on NASCAR, in my opinion. I'm going to jump on the criticism thing real quick. That's stupid. We've already talked about multiple ways they've messed NASCAR up altogether, just with number placement.
The playoffs being number one.
Playoffs, the way the playoff system works is not really. It's okay, but I don't like it. The number placement movement was stupid. The horsepower, lack of horsepower. The tire wear, of course, we've seen a little improvement with the tire wear, which I'm sure we can touch on here in a little while, but we're still going a long way on the same lap, on same set of tires, and to me, that's ridiculous. That is not racing. That's just going around in circles to see who can, I don't know, just get to the finish line fast. I can't really describe it because there's no horsepower either, so it's not really the quickest. It's more like a strategy play, more like, so there's a lot with the charter that needs to be done. It needs to be done now.
Yeah, I mean, it should have. You said it should have already been done back before this year even started. It should have been done last year. In the last, I know this is the last year of the previous agreement, but you see a lot of times with contracts with drivers, they'll sign the year before their last year. They'll sign a contract extension. Mm-hmm. If they don't sign a contract extension until their last year, there's something up. Either they can't make their decision, the team can't make their decision, there's some sort of sponsor changes going on, or maybe like with what we've seen with Martin Truex, it's, are you going to continue to drive? Are you going to retire? What's going on here? In this situation, they knew this was coming. And this isn't a situation where we're going to sign a 1-year contract. Now I understand NASCAR was waiting for the new TV media agreement to come through, to know how much they were going to get, to know how much they were going to give the drivers. I take the actual dollar.
Uh-oh, we're glitching out. Uh-oh. All right, I'm going to pause real quick. And we're back. Sorry, guys. My Wi-Fi is being very meh today due to the cabling in the building. It's really bad, so it may be kind of pause, play, recording action here, but we'll get this done, so don't worry. So, as you were saying before you were horrifyingly paused.
But yeah, talking about the charters, should have been done. There's no excuses. But like I was saying, you take the money away, and the money amount shouldn't matter. What should matter is the percentages of what NASCAR is going to give the team. I don't care whether NASCAR doesn't make a dime outside of ticket money, concession money. They could, if NASCAR wants to take 10% of the revenue, let them take 10% of the revenue. If the tracks want to take 40% of the revenue, let them take 40%. Give the teams at least 50 to 60% of the TV revenue. I don't care what that number is. If that number is $10 a year, give them $6. If it's $10 billion, give them $6 billion, and spread it out. Obviously, you're going to have to spread it out between 36 teams, but I don't care what the number is. The percentage should be, and the percentage, in my opinion, okay, start with 50. and go up. Every new contract, go up 5%, go up 5% until you reach an agreed upon amount to where, does that mean that the teams could be making 70% of the TV revenue? Yeah, but TV, and now TV, I don't think TV is going to be what it is today when this TV contract is up. I think pretty much everything is going to be streaming of some sort. I don't think TV as we know it is going to be TV 7, 8, 9 years from now. I think it's all going. You're going to be able to get, if you just want Peacocks, you can get everything that's going to be on NBC networks. Okay. Now it may cost you $15 a month for Peacock, but you could get Peacock. If you want Paramount for everything that's on the CBS networks, get your Paramount. It may cost you $15, but you get everything that's CBS related, whether it's CBS TV shows, CBS News, and CBS. I know CBS has like CBS Sports Network, and they do a lot of the football games and stuff like that. Same thing with ABC and ESPN and all that. That's what I think that the viewing experience is going to be like in the future. Okay. So we see that NASCAR has made an effort this next year with Amazon and TNT and Max, because all of the stuff on TNT is also going to be on Max. So they're making an effort to go that way. Also heard rumors that NASCAR is working on a 24/7 NASCAR channel. In my opinion, okay, this is what NASCAR should do in the future. Let's say you are a NASCAR fan. You don't really care about college football. You don't care about the NBA. You don't care about NFL. You want to watch racing. And that's IndyCar, sprint cars, late model stocks, Bandoleros, and the NASCAR series. All these groups, they've already got some TV or some streaming networks that they do with Flow Racing, which I believe NASCAR owns. I could be mistaken on that. That does the Cars Tour and a lot of other touring series. NASCAR should focus on building that for themselves. Focus on building that for get all these other racing series together and say, this is what we're offering you. Get all these series. And you know what? I will be honest with you. Okay. We pay $80 a month for YouTube TV because that's the best streaming thing that we could find that had everything that we wanted on it. You can watch it wherever you're stationed in the world. I can watch it at home. I can watch it on the go. So it was really easy for us to make that decision. Okay. Right. And then we also have Amazon Plus. We've got Amazon Prime. We've got Paramount. We've got Peacock. We've got Max. Of course, Max and Netflix and the Disney bundle is all done through our mobile service provider, which, you know, we get the Disney bundle for free, and then Max and HBO is like $10 a month for both of them, which is a really good deal since you were paying like $15 each.
Yeah.
$10 to $15 each. So, okay, I give all that up to have one dedicated 24/7 racing streaming platform that had anything I wanted to watch 24 hours a day, live races. Now I understand sometimes those series are going to conflict. Okay, but when you've got with the streaming stuff you've got now, they've got multiple channels on there that you can get on. ESPN Plus, you can get on and you could watch, if you could have a different game on each TV in your house. You could have different games on your computer, your iPad, your iPhone. You could be watching different games on ESPN Plus at the same time. NASCAR should do the same thing. Priority, yes, is going to be given to NASCAR live events. I would gladly Gladly. Like I said, we're paying about over $100 a month for all the streaming stuff that we share. I would gladly pay that $100 a month just for racing content. Because
Yeah,
I really don't watch it. I really don't watch that much else.
I don't either.
Uh,
So,
I watch a little bit, but everything that I watch streams.
right.
And it may not stream live, but it's streaming the next day.
Right.
So, and I usually don't watch it that night anyway, because I'm usually busy in the evening time and I can watch it, the next morning, the next afternoon, whatever, depending on my schedule.
Right.
So that's what I kind of see coming in the future. I don't know if NASCAR is going to go down that path, but they should. If they don't, they've got to come up with something that's better than what they've got, because like I said, I don't think TV is going to exist like this in the future.
I agree. I think they should try and focus on something where they specifically have for them and racing all together, with other series included, to give us that just all we want is racing, fans out there. Because like you said, like us, we don't really watch much of the other streaming stuff. We'll watch it every now and then, but mostly because there is no race going on, or during the off season. So I think that would be a smart move, especially down the line with the way technology is evolving and the way TV is changing for sure. TV has drastically changed for me, especially as I started with a VHS tape player and now I'm watching stuff on this little stick called a Roku. So it's definitely changed hugely, and so it'll definitely continue to change. So I would agree. NASCAR should look into getting something like that, making something like that for race fans that just want the racing. Cut back on the commercials too, I would say. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I agree with that. So
And even if they did commercials, do commercials like NBC did with Daytona, which side by side. Now, again, we talked about this in past episodes. Put the racing in the big box, the commercial in the little box.
right,
Have your sound playing for your commercial. I'm okay with that. Because when the commercials come on, I'm not really watching the commercial anyway.
right.
But play the sound for your commercial and put the racing in the big box, and there you go. Problem solved. I think it worked excellent with the Daytona race. We did not miss a lap of, we didn't miss a second of green flag action at Daytona.
Right.
And I hear they're, if I remember correctly, they're doing it again at Atlanta and Talladega.
Yes, they are.
So that only is going to go on more to prove my point that it can be done and it should be done at every race. I don't care if the race is Watkins Glen, Bristol, or Daytona,
Right.
or Atlanta, because those are the Atlanta, Bristol, and Watkins Glen are the three races coming up. Do it at all three races. I guarantee you it'll work.
Absolutely. I agree. It worked really well for Daytona. We didn't miss a single green lap. It was great. I mean, we saw the race basically start to end, except when cautions happened, of course. But yeah, I agree. Put the racing in the big box, commercial, little box, play sound for commercial. I understand the commercials. That's how you get your ad revenue. That's how you get the sponsors on the cars. That's how they get their little clip in. That's not just the racing on the race car. So I understand the commercials, but I agree with you side by side if you want the commercials, because that was really good for Daytona. And according to the fan council survey they have after every race, they are including it in Atlanta and Talladega. So I'm looking forward to those two races with the side by side commercials during the green laps. So.
All right, I guess we need to move on to silly season news, because there's a lot of silly season stuff
There.
to talk about, and some rumors to talk about. The first thing, and of course we talked about this before, with Stewart-Haas Racing announced that they were shutting down,
Right.
and then it came out that the Haas factory team, Gene Haas, was going to keep one of the charters
Mm-hmm.
and two Xfinity teams. So they have made that announcement. Cole Custer is going to be driving the number 41 Cup car. Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer have been signed to their Xfinity teams.
Mm-hmm.
No numbers have been given. It's believed that it's going to be the 00 and the number 41. Um, is the last I heard. 98's going away because that's not one of Gene Haas's that's not one of his numbers. That's a team that they uh, kind of merged with them several years ago.
Right. Yep.
Here's what I find interesting. Chase Briscoe just won Phoenix.
Right.
When they interviewed Chase Briscoe's crew chief during one of the cautions there towards the end of the race, he made the statement that Ford had cut them off. Their laptops for Ford were not working anymore. They did not have access to information from Ford anymore. Okay, I understand they were in their last year of their Ford contract. My question is, so basically we're saying they won a race without Ford support. And plus they've also had a lot of team members that have taken jobs elsewhere and have already left. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
no longer working in the shop. They're having, they've got teams, they've got guys on multiple teams working to get the cars to the racetrack, working on multiple cars. So here's my question with this whole thing. Who's going to be their manufacturer? Because I'm going to tell you this. If I make an announcement that I'm closing and then I make an announcement, I'm keeping my race team open. I'm scaling back. Yes, I'm changing names. But this manufacturer has done this to me. Why would I remain with that manufacturer? Why would I not go search out a Toyota? Why would I not go search out a Chevrolet?
Which, I mean, with what you just said, that may be what Gene Haas is possibly doing. If back before, what was it, 2014 was their last season with Chevy? 2015?
2016, I believe, was their last year.
2016. I was a year
Yeah.
off, but so they originally they did have Chevy at one point. So is Gene Haas looking at Chevy again because he's already had their support in the past, or is he gonna go look for Toyota for something new? Obviously Ford did them well for a few years, but not having that Ford support anymore, you're going to lose a lot of ground that you've made from the past few years, which we've seen during this whole season with the whole team. Because I did not know that. I didn't realize that until you said something. So losing that support is a big effect on not just the car, but the whole team. So what's he going
Because
to do?
even during the playoffs, they're not gonna have any help.
Right.
And it does. I don't care if he makes the championship 4. Chase Briscoe is not going to have any help from Ford Motor Company,
Mm-mm.
unless Ford changes their minds. Here's what Gene Haas should do if he's smart. He should go to Joe Gibbs Racing and he should go to Toyota and say, "Look, I'm a one-car team. I've got 2 Xfinity cars." And Gene Haas has the money to do this. This is not a Barney Visser situation where Barney's running out of money. This
Mm-hmm.
is not a Levine Family Racing situation where Levine Family Racing is running out of money. Gene Haas has more money than he will ever be able to spend in racing. I mean, he is a billionaire. Okay. He's losing money on his F1 team and he's still working on that. So obviously that tells you he sponsors his own cars. So he's not having to go out and look for a sponsor for Cole Custer. If he was smart, he would go to JGR and Toyota and say, "Look, I'm a one-car team. I can benefit you just as much as you can benefit me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make an alliance." And then he could be, I don't know if he could do it with Cole Custer. It's possible, though. He could be a Furniture Row racing type Cinderella story where he takes this one car to into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs and maybe even on a championship run if they went to Toyota. I don't think he'll get that kind of support at Chevrolet or Ford. I think Toyota wants numbers in the field. This
Mm-hmm.
could give them another number in the field. So Toyota should be going for Gene Haas and saying, look, you're a one-car team. This is what we can offer you. So they should be traveling to meet each other somewhere.
Yeah.
But I have not heard whether that's going to happen. Last I heard, when Gene Haas when they made the announcement, is they were sticking with Ford. I think they're absolutely stupid in doing so because of what's happened. But that's one of those things we're just going to have to wait and see.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer, though, did you see that coming? Either
No.
one of them.
No. Not at all.
I mean, Cole Custer was a given in the Cup car.
Yeah.
But Sheldon Creed is leaving Joe Gibbs Racing. He's going to be in his third team in 3 years.
Yep.
Sam Mayer is leaving Junior Motorsports, where he has won races, a lot of races. He's been a contender. Now, he's had a miserable season this year out of the few races that he's won. It's either been checkers or wreckers for him this year, but man, they're leaving proven championship teams to go to basically what I'm going to call a startup team. Because I mean that's pretty much what they're going to be.
Yeah. Which is definitely interesting. Creed going to a third whole new team for a third year, and then Sam leaving Junior. That one was more shocking to me because Sam's been with Junior for a while. He's done really well. Junior Motorsports Championship team. All four of his cars have been in victory lane. So definitely an interesting toss-up to see Sam leave. Sheldon, I can't really say anything. I didn't pay much attention to it, but at the same time, it caught me by surprise because I thought he was going to stick with, who is he with, JGR?
He's with Gibbs, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of thought he would stick there for another season or two, but he just moved on. So it'll be interesting to see how that Xfinity team works next season for sure.
And that could be where the Toyota connection comes in, because Toyota may want to keep Sheldon. So they let Sheldon go over to Haas to be able to convince Haas to sign with Toyota. So there's a lot going on that we don't know about. We'll know manufacturer. We may not know manufacturer until they roll out at Daytona next year.
Yeah, it's possible, but we'll find out. So
one team that we do know is going to be with Ford is Front Row, who's made some changes. David Gilliland. Todd Gilliland has re-signed for the 38 car.
yep.
Noah Gragson is believed to be in the third car, which has not been numbered yet. Probably going to be the 35 or the 36 because they've used both those numbers in the past. And then they have a third car, which will be probably the 34. I wouldn't see them changing numbers. And it's Zane Smith that's rumored to be going back to Front Row since he was released from Trackhouse.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Zane, he's had a interesting season. We've seen him up front, but at the same time we've seen him in the back with driving for Spire on loan from Trackhouse. So I was kind of shocked that they let him go because Zane Smith, I mean, he's got potential.
I'm not. They didn't have seats. They didn't have seats.
I mean, that's also fair, which we'll talk about here in a little bit when we get to them. Makes sense because they did. Trackhouse did fill a seat basically,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, at the time of the release of Zane Smith, they kind of did have seat that we'll talk about here in a minute as well. But with everything, the rumors has been going around, that seat may have already been filled before Zane was let go. So,
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see Zane go back to Front Row. And I think with Todd Gilliland's experience over there with that team,
Mm-hmm.
Noah Gragson's experience this year with SHR, and
Mm-hmm.
Noah has run decent
Mm-hmm.
in SHR equipment, and we've already talked about all of the struggles that SHR is having with losing crew members and losing manufacturer support and all that. So he still continues to run decent. I think Noah is definitely going to help that team. And then Zane, even with this year, the struggles that he's dealt with this year, he's going to be able to take some of those things to that team. I don't see front row stepping back. I don't see them stepping forward. I don't see them stepping back. I see them staying kind of where they're at. Um, and if they won a race in 2025, 2026, it would not surprise me at all. And I'm not talking about a restrictor plate race or, well, super speedway race or a road course race. I could see them legit with these three guys legit winning at Kansas, a Texas, uh, pulling off maybe a surprise win at a Richmond or a New Hampshire.
I know, absolutely. I agree with the step thing. I don't. They're not stepping back at all. With the drivers they've signed, they're not really stepping forward. So I would agree with the in the middle. You've got Todd who's had a lot of experience in the front row motorsports equipment. So that'll be a big bonus with helping Noah get settled in. And if Zane Smith is rumored to actually come over to front row, it'll help him get settled in. Of course, he's already been with front row before, so he's already familiar with front row, which will also help. And you've got three talented drivers. We've seen them up front in multiple races this season, with Michael McDowell and Todd. Sadly, none of them ended the way we were hoping for them to end. But we've seen them up front this season, so they've definitely stepped up during the season. So I say, at the end of this season, that's about where they'll come off. Beginning next season, I feel like they'll be on a good ball that's rolling pretty well, at a good pace that could pick up during the season, as you said, with a surprise win at somewhere like Kansas or Texas or New Hampshire, or something like that. So I agree with that there.
Yeah, the next team is Joe Gibbs Racing, which no changes in the 11, no changes in the 54, no changes in the 20. We knew those rides weren't going to change. Probably won't change anytime soon until Denny decides to either retire or Denny decides that he's going to take the 11 team and go over to race for his own team.
All right.
Um, Eventually, and then they bring the 18 back. But we do know that Martin Truex, this is his last year. Thankfully, he made the playoffs. Almost blew it on lap
Almost.
3 at
Yep.
Darlington.
Yep.
And but did make the playoffs in his final season, which that's a good thing for him. But they have announced that Chase Briscoe is going to be a replacement for Truex, which to me surprised me because Chase Briscoe has been a Ford driver since the beginning of his career. Ford has invested a lot of money in Chase Briscoe, and this is where I think Ford dropped the ball because Ford's best bet at this point was to put Chase Briscoe in the 21 car for Wood Brothers. And the way they've run, I don't blame Chase for saying, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then getting the opportunity with Joe Gibbs, obviously, that's a no-brainer. The 19 car is a winning car. The James Small is a winning crew chief. It's a no-brainer to take that over the 21 car. But Ford did have another option that we haven't really discussed. And because his win at Gateway seems to have solidified Austin Cindric's seat there, at least for another year.
Yeah.
But if I had a choice between an Austin Cindric and a Chase Briscoe, I'm going Chase Briscoe all day long. I'm going to put Chase Briscoe in that number 2 Penske car because he's going to elevate that team up to where the 12 and the 22 are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Austin Cindric doing that.
Right.
So Ford missed out and dropped that ball. The other unexpected news for Joe Gibbs Racing is Brandon Jones is leaving Junior Motorsports to go back to Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, that's a really questionable one because he left JGR, went to Junior. He's had an up and down, time with Junior, which can't really help him there. I mean, that's just part of racing sometimes. But now has decided to go back to where he came from. So that's probably why he did it.
Well, his daddy and his granddaddy own the company that, or he's got relationships with Menards that I don't know how his family's invested, but he's got family money that.
Yeah, exactly. So a surprise, but at the same time, not really. So yeah.
Well, and he has not performed at Junior Motorsports. They haven't made the playoffs either year. Um, you know, uh, the past 2 years they have not made the playoffs with Junior Motorsports. So I think it's more of along the lines of Junior's not satisfied and was wanting to make a change, and Brandon had to go somewhere to go, and JGR is like, okay, we'll take your money.
Yeah, that's probably how it went.
Um,
So
two drivers, two numbers unknown. Of course, we don't know what number Brandon Jones is going to be in. I would assume probably back to the 19 car, where he was before. Uh, the 18 car has been Sheldon Creed this year, and the 20 car has been their all-star car, and then they've had the 81 car of Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith, I don't think he's going anywhere.
yeah,
Not yet anyway. So rumor has it though that Corey Heim could be getting in one of these cars. If not Corey Heim, Riley Herbst may be coming back over to Joe Gibbs Racing. Those have also been, both of those names have also been rumored for the 2311 third car, which there's been no announcements about. And I don't think there's going to be any announcements about until the whole charter thing is. I don't think 2311 wants to say, hey, we bought a charter before they've even made a charter agreement. Now, other teams, like we've seen Front Row do it, we've seen Spire do it, or not Spire, but we've seen Trackhouse do it already. I think if 2311 has purchased one of the SHR charters, they're not going to say anything until there's a charter agreement in place, and then we'll know who their driver will be. But those two are that is rumored to be either Riley Herbst or Corey Heim. Whichever one does not get that is probably going to be in the 18 or the 20 car full time next year.
right. I could see that. I could see that. So,
I really wish they would put Ryan Truex in the car for a full
yes,
season.
I agree. I mean, every time he's gotten in the car, he's done well. I mean, he's had 2 wins this season.
2 wins.
And it's like, how do you not sign this guy? I mean, he's proven himself not once, but twice.
And this is his third win with JGR because he won last year too. And I understand it's a money thing. I understand a lot of the Xfinity rides right now are pay to play.
Yeah.
And Ryan doesn't bring money to the table, but Ryan's going to put more money in my pocket than a pay to play driver is going to put, because Ryan's going to win races. Ryan's going to attract sponsors.
Right. I would agree on that one.
So that's the JGR news. Wood Brothers Racing. Harrison Burton is out. Josh Berry is in. No big surprise there when they lost out on Chase Briscoe. Josh Berry is obviously going to be the next one in line.
Yep.
For that. What shocked me about this is they had a chance to sign Rodney Childers with Josh Berry and didn't do it. They waited and were like, well, we don't know what Penske's going to do. We don't know this situation. We don't know that situation. But we need to sign Josh now, and waited on signing Rodney and lost Rodney.
Yep.
Because
Uh-oh. There goes my internet, guys, so I'm going to have to pause. Recording. Sorry, my internet went out again. As you were saying.
Fun, fun, fun. But yeah, the Wood brothers had an opportunity to sign Rodney. They did not. So Rodney took a chance to go to another team. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But seems like the Wood brothers, I think they made a good choice with Josh. Not a whole lot of drivers on the market, so to speak. But being able to grab up Josh, keep Josh in the Ford camp for at least a few more years was a positive
I
positive
agree.
choice.
I agree. I do want to shout out Wood Brothers real quick. They got their 100th win. I know they were looking for that win for a long time. I am kind of upset, though. I was hoping Josh Berry would get it next season. But, I mean, congrats to Burton. It was Daytona, so I don't really see it as a win-win, but you got Wood Brothers 100 win, which I knew they were looking for. So I do want to point that out. Congrats to Wood Brothers on their 100th win.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the playoffs and the flawed playoffs in a minute. But that was a good choice. Trackhouse. We talked about Daniel Suarez being on the hot seat, and then he won that race at Atlanta. He has re-signed for another year, at least 1 year. We know that Ross Chastain is probably never going to another team.
No.
I know he struggled this year, but he's got Bush Beer behind him, and him and Justin Marks and what they've done with Trackhouse. I just don't see Chastain ever leaving, even if he just disappears from the race, even if he pulls the Jimmy Johnson and we never hear from him again. He
I
never
agree.
runs. I don't see him. Zane Smith is out. We talked about that. And Shane Van Gisbergen is in, and he's in the 88, which I found to not be too surprising. I know the 88 was Dale Jarrett's number. Dale Jarrett and Robert Yates gave it to Hendrick Motorsports when Dale Jr. came over to Hendrick Motorsports, and Dale Jr. has given his blessing on the 88 in Cup, and the relationship that him and Justin Marks have with like the Cars Tour and the other stuff that they do together it wasn't a big surprise that they would do the 88 number. The 88 number fits right along in with Trackhouse's 1 and 99. You go from 99, what's the next double digit down? It's 88. Then you go to 77. Well, that's Spire. Then you go 66, 55, and so on and so forth. So,
right. Yep.
It fits in pretty well with Trackhouse. The 88, to me, actually looks like the Hendrick Motorsports 88 with the Trackhouse slash through it. So,
Yep.
Looks pretty cool.
It did look really cool. They finally, it took me a minute to find it, but they finally put it up on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And it does look really good. It looks like the Hendrick, Dale Jr.'s 88 with the Trackhouse slash, a nice red color to it. So I like it. I think it'll look good on the car. Very exciting for SVG. I know he's super excited to announce it when he did. Which apparently it was a held announcement, as we were talking about earlier with Zane Smith being out. The reason he was out so early is because I'm kind of guessing this was already starting to line up this way. Because the way SVG announced it, he said, "I finally get to announce this announcement."
Yep.
So that's my guess on that. Super excited to see SVG come up in the Cup. He's done really well with Xfinity, so I'm excited to see him come up to Cup and show off on the road courses, especially as that's his specialty. But just to see him at the track every weekend, I think it's going to be good for him and for the fans. And from where he's from, it's a good boost for people back at home for him. So exciting.
And on top of that we could see all three of these drivers in the playoffs next year. We could see SVG and Ross Chastain make a deep playoff run next year, with the way the road courses and all that line up in the playoffs next year, we could see that happen. And I know Daniel struggled this year. The whole team struggled this year.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel was able to get that win at Atlanta back at the beginning of the year. They're going to Mexico. I know we said we'd address the schedule. They're going to Mexico. Daniel Suarez, that's home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's going to be big, not just for NASCAR, not just for that racetrack. That's going to be big for that race team. So, and that's a road course too. So all three of these guys could go out and have an opportunity to win in Mexico. So, Justin Marks, what he's put together and the way he's growing this team and what they're doing with this team, he is trying to build a powerhouse team. And I think he's well on his way of getting there. Now, it's going to be decades before he reaches the level of a Joe Gibbs Racing or Rick Hendrick as far as like win totals. But they could very well get there. So That's exciting. On that note, though, okay, we mentioned Junior in the 88 number. Junior is running a Trackhouse driver in Connor Zilic in the 88 for Xfinity next year. So Connor's going to move up. He's been lights out down in ARCA. I mean, he's won in every one, I think all but one of his ARCA starts. It was impressive in the Truck Series races that he's run. Been caught up in a lot of incidences in the truck races, but they were entirely not his doing. So, going to be interesting to see what Connor's going to do over there. Justin Allgaier, obviously, he's going to stay. Justin's not going anywhere, I don't think, anytime soon. The questions are the 8 car and the 9 car. Sammy Smith may stay. He is under contract, but there has been rumors that he's leaving. And you also have Carson Quaffle that has been really impressive in that 88 car this year. I mean, he's a younger version of Josh Berry. I mean, he gets in a full-time ride. He's going to be competitive week in and week out and will win races. So, would not be surprised to see him full-time next year in one of these Junior Motorsports cars.
Right.
And Dale Jr. has stated that he believes his last race of his NASCAR career is going to be the Bristol Xfinity race this year. He's having too much fun with the Cars Tour. He's got a lot of outside, business ventures going on with Junior Motorsports and the Cars Tour. And his deal with Hellman's is running out. So, he said he's pretty much... He doesn't feel competitive running the one off a year, so he says this year is probably going to be his last. Now, he didn't say for sure, he didn't guarantee it, but he said it will probably be his last. So, but they could always run. He may only run 3, or he may run 4 teams this year. I don't know. He could move if Sammy Smith does say move Sammy to the 1 car. Put Carson Quaffle in the 9 car, and then have the 8 car be like an all-star car like they did with the 88 this year.
Right.
And just run different people in there. So there's still a lot out there to happen with Junior Motorsports, but a lot of times with Junior Motorsports, we don't get what's going on till later in the year. So, because he's got drivers in the trying to get in the playoffs. He's got drivers in the playoffs. He's got drivers on the bubbles. So, they're concentrating on that right now outside of the announcements that they're having to make. So,
right.
Anyway, thoughts on Junior Motorsports' situation?
I think Connor is a good move. As you said, he's really good. He's been killing it in ARCA. He's had some good truck runs, even though he's got caught up in quite a bit. I think Carson Quapple, I think that would be a really good sign, as you said. I think that would really boost. He would come in as like a Josh Berry, and I believe he would run really, really well. Allgaier staying, no surprise there. He's been loyal to Junior. He's also been a championship for him. So I don't see him leaving anytime soon. Sammy Smith, that one, I'm not really sure. As you said, not much said with him either. If he does stay, I don't see him running very well with the other three. If Carson is also signed, but I guess we can see. Every season is has different outcomes. So it's just a toss up, and we'll see if he does stay and how he runs if he does. So
Yeah, he's barely in right now. I
yeah,
mean, barely in. And Ryan Sieg, I mean, he has a bad weekend at the next race, and he could find himself 30 points behind Ryan Sieg, and not be able to make it up before their playoff start. So, but yeah, you mentioned something in there about Justin Allgaier being a championship contender every year. Junior or some other team has always had somebody that has been one step ahead in my book as far as who I wanted to see win the Xfinity Series championship. Because he had Chase Elliott, then he had William Byron, and then he had, and then there's been other drivers like Cole Custer, and people like that I wanted to see win their championship. Man, I am until somebody big comes up into Xfinity, another big name like a William Byron or Chase Elliott or something like that. I am going to be Justin Allgaier from here on out until he actually is able to grab that cup, that championship in the Xfinity Series. And I think he's got a legitimate shot to do it this year. He's had a legitimate shot to do it every year. So I would love to see Justin and Justin. It looks like he's going to win the regular season. Unless they just fall apart over the next few weeks, which I don't, that's just probably not going to happen. But we did see that happen in the Cup Series with Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson and even Denny Hamlin. Of course, Denny Hamlin got a penalty that didn't help his cause for the regular season championship either. But Justin, if he wins that regular season championship, that puts him up there with all those drivers that have all the playoff points and stuff. So that'd be really good for Justin. I'd like to see him reach up and grab that championship finally.
absolutely.
Colleague has made an announcement that AJ Allmendinger is going to be returning to the Cup Series full time next year, which is a good move. I don't know why they took him out of the Cup Series in the first place. And it may have been sponsorship. I don't know. But whatever reason, he's back. 31 car, they've not announced anything for the 31 car. Who knows if Daniel Hemrick's going to stay or if they're going to bring somebody else in. That announcement's still out to be seen. But their Xfinity lineup has been set. They got Daniel Dye in the 10 car, which questionable.
Yeah, I would agree.
You got to wear a cup when that guy's around. You never know when he's going to quit, when he's going to kick for the fences, try to kick a field goal. If you don't know, go look it up. You'll know what I'm talking about. Josh Williams in the 11. That's a great move. Josh has had a terrible year.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been Josh's ability at all. You look at Colleague Racing and outside of SVG, they've had across the board had a terrible year. SVG's been the bright spot because he's been able to win 3 road course races, but other than that, their Xfinity program's been down, so you can't really blame all that on Josh. So keeping him around for another year, I think, is a good call.
Right. Yep. I agree.
And then they've signed Christian Eckes from the 19 truck team to move up. Man, it's gonna be weird seeing somebody else in that 19 Napa truck next year, but I wouldn't mind seeing Napa on the 16 on the 16 Xfinity car, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
You never know. If they are, I want one. I'm a huge Napa supporter, so you know that. But I think that's, I mean, good moves by colleague. As you said, Xfinity has struggled big time this season, except for SVG with his road course wins. Williams and Eckes, that's two good signs right there. Williams has the potential. I believe he can wiggle his way to good finishes and a win when he has enough of the experience with that top equipment that colleague normally has. Eckes, we've seen him prove himself in trucks, so stepping up into Xfinity, I'm sure he'll do pretty well. We have seen truck drivers come up to Xfinity and not do well, but I feel like with colleague, if they do get their Xfinity team kind of sorted out, I believe he will run really well. The questionable one I agree with is Daniel Dye. I've got no words for that one because I really don't know what to say.
He ran okay in their few starts this year. He did make the Truck Series playoffs this year, but he really hasn't shown me anything that shows that he deserves a top ride like colleague.
Yeah.
Decent rides in Xfinity and making a Truck Series championship. Let's face it, there's 10 teams make the Truck Series championship, and there might be 13, 14 tops teams in the Truck Series that could make a run in the playoffs. So I don't say squeaking into the Truck Series playoffs on points is a career maker.
I would agree. So,
but I guess the jury's out on that one. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep, he could prove us both very wrong. But yeah, we'll see.
So now the shocking news in the world of NASCAR silly season. Fire Motorsports hit a jackpot when they signed Rodney Childers to be on the 7 team. And the original announcement was Rodney Childers signs long-term contract to crew chief the Spires Motorsports 7 car with Corey LaJoie. A few weeks later, after hitting a home run, they hit what I believe to be another home run.
Yeah.
When they cut Corey loose. I mean, look, I love Corey.
Yeah.
Corey seems to be like he seems like a great guy. He's had some awesome throwbacks when he was in the 32 car. He ran a throwback to Dale Jarrett's Nestle Crunch car. That's awesome. In the 7 car, they ran a throwback to Alan Kowicki's Xerox car. That's awesome. He had a few other throwbacks that were really just awesome, but those would have had those throwbacks no matter who was in that car. So, but the pairing of Rodney Childers and Corey LaJoie, when they first made the announcement, kind of made me go, I wonder if Corey can win a race. But then they started talking about him on the podcast, and up until Darlington this past week, he did not have a single non-super speedway top 10 in his career. He got one at Darlington this past week, but you got to look at the attrition of all the cars that wrecked out at Darlington. Okay, you may say, well, it's a top 10 at Darlington. He didn't wreck. Yes. But had none of those other guys wrecked, he would have been 25th.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So you think that was a smart decision to release Corey LaJoie?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like Corey. He's a really funny guy. Goofy Chili's commercial, that's for sure. Has a really good podcast with Stacking Pennies. But his talent on the racetrack has not been the best. So I think it's smart. I thought the pair with Rodney would have been good. I thought he may have actually ended up in victory lane with that one. But now that he's been let go, I feel like they can get someone who's not just a maybe victory lane driver, but a playoff driver, someone who could run into the playoffs, depending on who they sign for the number 7. I feel like Rodney could take a different driver and do even better than what may have been projected with Corey. So I hate to see Corey lose a ride, but at the same time, I think it's smart for Spire to let him go.
Well, now here's my thing. We've seen what happened with drivers like Matt DiBenedetto. He was let go from his Cup ride. He went and drove trucks for 3/4 of a year. And up until mid-season this year, he was out. And when he signed as a support. He's basically a support team to Ryan Sieg. And, I think I don't see Matt, and I hate to say this, I don't see Matt getting another shot at a top ride. I'd love to see it. I think Matt has the talent. I think Matt has the ability to perform in top tier equipment, which he's had at one time in his life when he drove the 21 car, and he overperformed. He overachieved in that 21 car because we've seen what's happened to the 21 car since he left. I think the same is going to happen with Corey. I see Corey going and driving for a Truck Series team next year. He may be the Rackley. He may be in the Rackley car because there's rumors that Ty Dillon may be coming to Cup again, possibly in the 31 car. Again, rumors. We don't know. Possibly with a third RCR car if RCR gets the charter that 2311's rumored to get. Which again, 2311, whether they have it or not, they're not saying anything until charter agreement. But I see Corey LaJoie going to a mid to backpack Xfinity or Truck Series team, and I think he's had his shot in Cup, and I don't think he's going to get another one. And I don't think his talent has showed that he deserves another one.
Yeah, I would agree. Unless if he does get a truck or Xfinity ride and he goes out and kind of does what Cole Custer did when he was knocked down from Cup to Xfinity and goes and just wins the championship, then that conversation could change. But at the same time, I don't really see that happening. So I would say his Cup run is pretty much finished. He'll probably be kind of like how Matt DiBenedetto was, just shuffled around for a little bit and then just eventually not going to have a seat, which will stink, but it's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, because the Cup teams are not taking drivers now that are not proven winners, whether it's in the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series or even in the Cup Series. Chase Briscoe would not have gotten the chance that he has with JGR had he not performed in Xfinity like he did. Yes, he struggled in Cup, but he also has 2 Cup races. He performed in the Truck Series. So that's why he's getting his opportunity with Joe Gibbs Racing. Noah Gragson, he was lights out in the Xfinity Series. What was it? He won 4 races in a row a couple years ago.
Yep.
That's why he's getting his opportunity. Zane Smith, a Truck Series championship. That's why he's getting his opportunities to continue on. Josh Berry, Xfinity wins, proven winner. Corey has not won in the top 3 series of NASCAR. So without proving that going out and proving that he can win, I don't see him getting that chance. And really, if he doesn't go out and win in a truck team or an Xfinity team next year, I think he's out of NASCAR altogether. I think that will be. I think he's got one chance left, and if he does not hit home runs every time out, he's done. And I hate to say that because, like I said, I like Corey.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That's just it's how it is with the sport nowadays. So if he doesn't go down and perform, he's just gonna be gone. Which it sucks, but it's like I said, it's a part of it. So yeah.
Okay, so they've signed Michael McDowell to the 71 team.
Mm-hmm.
His crew chief is coming over from Front Row Motorsports with him. So that success, I believe that success is just going to carry over into the 71 car.
Oh no, I locked up again. But I agree. Net problems again. But yeah, hopefully that's the last time. Anyways, you were talking about Michael McDowell in the 71.
And once again, back to where we were. Michael McDowell in the 71 with his crew chief from Front Row Motorsports. I believe that they will continue on the upward trend that they have been on with the 34 team. Will compete for chances to win at super speedways and road courses. We'll see where they shake out. Out of that, Carson Hocevar returns to the 77, which there's no big surprise there. He's in line to win Rookie of the Year. He's up on points. I believe he's over 100 points over Josh Berry. So, consistently outran Corey LaJoie this year for all but maybe 2 or 3 races. So, no surprise that Hocevar's staying. What do you think of those two? I'm skipping the 7 car on purpose.
Well, I mean, that's understandable, but McDowell, understandable, coming over with his crew chief. That's a huge boost for Spire. I think that's going to build up Spire to be a good competitive team. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see McDowell win a road course or super speedway with them. Hocevar also good. He ran pretty good for most of this season. He's done well. He's been caught up in some incidents though. But hopefully next season he can do a little bit better. And now that he has experience in the car, he'll be able to run even better. And so I think that was also a smart move, as he has the potential of getting up there when Spire's on those winnings, on that winning time, that he'll be one of those drivers to win for them. So both of them really good drivers to sign. And yeah, so that's my opinion.
Okay, so the reason I said I was skipping the 7 car because there are some rumors. The rumor for a long time has been Justin Haley. Justin said that he's committed to Rick Ware Racing. Blah blah blah. You mentioned it. Of course, they cannot say officially until the deal's done. Justin Haley's been heavily rumored to be in that car, but this week another rumor has come out, and it was pretty much a rumor that was mentioned on.
Dude, I locked up again. I'm sorry, guys. Well, pause again. Pause the recording because you locked up and I thought my internet was messing up again, but you're back now, so I'm sorry. Whatever you just said was not heard. So if you could repeat.
What was the last thing? What was the last thing you heard?
You were talking about Bowman being the rumor, and then it kind of cut off like right after that. So
okay. So anyway, Alex Bowman won at Chicagoland, or not Chicagoland, the Chicago Street Course. And it's believed that he saved his job. But Bob Pockrass had mentioned in an article back after he won that he was still going to have to jump through some hurdles. Now, the rumor has come out, and usually when there's rumors that come out, I know there's a lot of people that say that there's no truth to the rumors. Even Alex Bowman today at Media Day said there's no truth to the rumors. It's not happening. No way, no how. But that they can't come out and say, well, the rumors are true until they're allowed to. unless you're Christopher Bell and you just let the signing of Chase Briscoe slip.
Oops. That
Uh,
was funny
yeah,
though.
oops.
That was funny. That was
that
really
was
funny.
that was great. And kudos to Joe Gibbs for letting Christopher Bell actually introduce Chase Briscoe at the actual press conference.
Yes.
Played into it. Of course, Christopher Bell winning that same weekend didn't hurt. Uh, you know, didn't hurt him from getting into trouble. So, uh,
Right.
but either which way, Alex Bowman's not going to come out and say, yes, these rumors are true. There is a possibility if I don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs that I'm done. He cannot and will not say that, regardless of how true it is. And again, we don't know if it's true or not, but 90% of these rumors that we have talked about, 90% of the rumors that you hear on other podcasts, especially from industry insiders like Jeff Gluck, Jordan Bianchi, the guys at Door Bumper Clear, even some of the stuff that you've heard on Dale Jr.'s download. Rumors that you hear usually start somewhere and they have some truth to them. So I've got to assume that there is some truth somewhere to this rumor. And it could be a simple situation of where, because teams have done this before, they've had a driver that underperformed, that they moved to a team that they had a partnership with to bring in a driver that they thought and the sponsor thought could perform better than the current driver. That could very well be the case here with Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman has won races, but Alex Bowman has also had some injuries with a concussion last year and a back injury and several other major injuries that I believe has hurt his performance. And I don't believe his performance is going to get any better. Chicago, you got to even admit, yes, he was running in the top 10 all day, but Chicago was still a fluke. It was not I went out there and I dominated and I showed him how it's done when like all of his other teammates have done this year. Yes, Chase Elliott only has that one win, but it was a pretty, he was top 2, top 3 all day long.
Right.
And Chase Elliott's a champion. So, Alex has not yet won a championship. So the rumors of this could very well be true. If Alex Bowman does not make it out of the first round of the playoffs, which there is a chance of that he could do. He's on my list to move on. We'll talk about that in a moment, but he's on a lot of people's list not to make it out of the first round. If he does not, it would not surprise me because of these rumors that he finds himself in that number 7 car next year.
Right. Well, I mean, I agree. As you said, Bowman, he struggled, a lot of loopholes to go through. His injuries has held him back. We haven't seen him go out and dominate a race like the other 3 Hendrick drivers. If he does go to Spire, is that obviously that's kind of taking him down a notch because Spire isn't a victory, top running car at 90% of the time. Does that take away that 1 to 2 wins he gets every season? Yes.
With Rodney Childers, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think a combination of Rodney Childers and Alex Bowman in that 7 car elevates that 7 car to where they win a race. Now, are they going to go deep into a playoff run with Alex Bowman? I don't think so. They may make a round of 8, which I guess some people would consider is pretty deep into the playoffs,
Yeah.
but I don't see them ever going past a round of 8, barring a win at Talladega, because Talladega's, which, again, we're not going to really talk too much about the schedule, but Talladega's in that round of 8 next year.
Okay.
So a Rodney Childers and an Alex Bowman in that 7 car could do that. Um, so that is a possibility
Okay.
to answer that question.
So with him doing that, do you think that would elevate his like cup level, or do you think would he stay the same?
I
With the
say Bowman's going to level out 1 to
okay,
2 wins a year. Spire is obviously going to take a step up because that's going to give them 2 wins a year more than what
right,
they have now. And Rodney is going to take a step back up. Rodney has not fallen at all.
right,
Rodney's been a championship. He's a championship winning crew chief.
right.
He's been in the Final Four multiple times with Kevin Harvick.
Hmm.
He's been to the round of 8 multiple times with Kevin Harvick. Uh, but Stuart Haas has struggled the past few years. That's not on Rodney. Rodney's still putting out the best cars that he could possibly put on that track.
Right.
Now you give him the equipment and the support, because you also have to say that SHR does not have the support from their ownership that they've had in the past few years, because Tony, and we've talked about this, Tony's mad at Ford, so Tony said screw it back in 2021. Unfortunately, that left Harvick and Rodney hanging, left all these
Yep.
other guys hanging. Um, Tony's mad at NASCAR because NASCAR took Eldora off of the Truck Series schedule without even so much as giving him a phone call. So my understanding is the same thing happened with Milwaukee this past week. When the Truck Series schedule was released, the owner of Milwaukee Raceway didn't even know they weren't going to be on the schedule next year. So, they've not had the support, they've not had the cars and the ability to build the cars like they have in the past. Rodney's moving over to Spire. Spire has that.
Right.
Spire wants to win races. Spire
Right.
wants to compete for championships. They are Spire is changing the game the way they're putting money into the sport.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
and they've got a partner in Gamebridge, which has been a big time sponsor on the IndyCar. They're big time. They're moving over into NASCAR now, which is making a big deal with the Spire team. Spire wants to win. With Rodney and Alex, they can do that,
Right.
but they're not going to be Final Four contenders year in and year out. If they slip into a Final Four every once in a while, every 5-6 years, which Rodney's not going to stay there that much longer. I could see that happening. We've seen that happen in the past, but it's not going to be a year in, year out thing. But my big question with all this is, if that does happen, yes, that elevates Spire. It doesn't elevate Rodney. It doesn't elevate Alex. It just elevates the team, Spire Motorsports. But who do they put in the 48 car if they move Alex out?
See, that was going to be my next question. Now, we've talked about this before. If Alex was to leave the 48, who would go into the 48? I think that's going to – I think there are two things that kind of factor this. One being the charter agreement. Is NASCAR going to let them keep the 4-team charter if Alex moves? Because the route, as we talked about, the charter system is supposed to go to 3 charters per team. Hendrick and JGR to be grandfather in, since they already have that 4th-team charter. But if Hendrick doesn't have that seat filled, do they have to give that charter away, or will they keep it? So that's my first question.
Well, they don't give it away. They're going to sell it if they get rid of it.
As I meant, yes.
They're going to take their $40 million.
It's fair.
And you had mentioned Raja Caruth being a candidate for that seat. One win at Las Vegas in the Truck Series is not going to get you a cup ride.
Right.
He started the year out on fire, and I don't know what happened. I mean, pretty much after Coda, he's been top 10, but I mean, made the playoffs. Obviously, made the playoffs off that win, but he's not been setting the world on fire. I mean, Christian Eckes and Corey Haim have just went out and, basically wiped the slate clean in the Truck Series.
Right.
And we thought Rajah was going to be right up there with them, but he has not been.
Mm-mm.
Same thing with Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes has not been setting the world on fire in the Truck Series this year. So my thing is, unless there's somebody that we're overlooking, I don't see who you put in that car. And looking over the Cup Series roster, the only Cup driver that we've not talked about that's not signed is Ryan Preece. Ryan, if Ryan goes anywhere, he's going to go to the 15 Rick Ware car or the 51 Rick Ware car if Justin Haley comes over to the 7 car. Of course, if Justin comes to the 7 car, Alex is obviously not going to be leaving, the 48 team. But if Alex does go to the 7 car, that means Justin Haley's staying where he's at, which means that if Ryan Preece does go anywhere, it's going to be the 15 Rick Ware car, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think Ryan is going back to Xfinity. I don't see right now anybody that's a Chevrolet driver that's ready to move into that seat. Unless they shock us and they're able to sign somebody out from underneath Toyota or out from underneath Ford, I don't see anybody that can fill that 48, even for 1 or 2 race wins a year.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. So, something to keep tabs on. If Bowman does come over to 7, who goes to 48? But if not, is Haley coming over? We don't know, but we'll find out, I'm sure, eventually as season progresses, or ends more like. So.
All right. Preseason playoff predictions.
Yeah.
We did good. We did not so good.
So
yeah, run through your list.
So for our preseason preview, if you missed it, it'll be it's in the podcast playlist, which I'll leave in the link down below. We made our who made the playoff prediction. So my predictions: Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano. And then I had kind of a 2 here. I said Chase Briscoe or Ryan Preece as a replacement to take Kevin Harvick's playoff spot since he had retired from NASCAR. Then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Michael McDowell.
Yeah, you say Christopher Bell wasn't going to make the playoffs.
That one bit me in the butt pretty
early in the season.
Pretty early, yeah. So obviously I've got Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch wrong. The Kyle Busch one's shocking, I would say. Kyle Busch has been very constant on making the playoffs.
And he won 3 races last year.
Well, that too. So he struggled this season, which was shocking. Ross Chastain, I feel like he just didn't have the performance he needed this season. He didn't do so well. So he sadly didn't make it. Bubba Wallace didn't make it. Chase Briscoe did make it, not Ryan Preece. So I got that one right. And then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Michael McDowell, also 2 other drivers that did not make it. So
you got 10 out of 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still can't believe you said Christopher Bell was not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, as I said, that bit me in the butt pretty early in the season. So,
All right. Well, my picks were Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch. There's two that I missed.
mhm.
We both had a lot of the same drivers. Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, and I had Alex Bowman or Ty Gibbs. They both made it.
They both
And then
did.
I had Michael McDowell. So, um,
You got 11 of 16, I think.
well, let's see here. Uh, Buescher, Bush, Chastain, Wallace, and McDowell. So, yeah, I got 11 of 16.
Technically, you had 12 because of Alex Bowman and Ty Gibbs,
And
but
Ty Gibbs.
we don't count that.
But yeah, I mean,
you still did better than me, so
and let's face it, there were some drivers that won that we didn't think were going to win.
right.
Austin Cindric won.
Yep.
We did not see him, and he won. Well, he won with Ryan Blaney running out of gas.
Yeah. He looked into his.
So he won. We did not see Harrison Burton winning at Daytona
Nope.
at all.
Nope.
We didn't see Daniel Suarez winning. You know, and he barely won. I mean, I think it was NASCAR Chasm posted that Kyle Busch and Chris Buescher missed the playoffs by confined less than a quarter of a second.
Wow.
They missed because they both missed wins by hundreds of a second. Okay. Yep. Which I still say Chris Buescher won that race. Kyle Larson did not win that race. Chris Buescher won that race. Just like the Ryan Sieg win, where Sam Mayer beat him. I still say, from all the pictures that I saw, that Ryan Sieg won that race. But either which way, and so that's how close those two were to making the playoffs. Ross Chastain would have made the playoffs had Harrison Burton and Chase Briscoe not won.
Right.
Kyle Busch or Bubba Wallace would have made the playoffs had one of those two not won.
Right.
Yeah, you know, same thing with Chris Buescher. Had one of those two not won, Chris Buescher would have been in the playoffs. So, not a big surprise. As far as the normal people making the playoffs, but big surprise with Austin Cindric, big surprise with Harrison Burton, Chase Briscoe. Now Chase Briscoe was there on points most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys winning that we didn't see winning pushed Chase and Kyle Busch both down way below the bubble. Same thing with Daniel Suarez. So, but again, a matter of inches, a matter of seconds could have changed all of this.
Right.
So here's the problem, though, with our Final Four, our championship four. Both of our championships fours looked exactly alike, with the exception of one of the drivers that we both picked that missed. You picked Chris Buescher.
Yep.
Obviously, he missed, and I picked Ross Chastain.
Yep.
Who obviously missed the playoffs. So, do you have our brackets with the current ready to pull up?
So our filled up brackets.
Almost filled up. We filled up to the round of 8.
All right, I'm gonna do this. You guys are gonna see a little bit of. Do you want me to pull mine up or yours up first?
Pull yours up first.
All right, I will pull mine up first. So here you go.
I'll compare it to mine.
Um, you can't see us on screen right now, but you can see my bracket. So yeah, I'll let you get to where you can see it.
Let's see here. All right, it's coming up. All right, there we go. So you've got. Go ahead and read yours off.
All right.
What'd you do? Type it out?
Yeah, I used Instagram for this. It kind of helped me.
Good.
Um, so real quick. Well, I mean, we kind of said who's, but just to make sure everyone knows, who made it. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Shindrick, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Harrison Burton, Ty Gibbs, and Martin Truex Jr. They've made the playoffs. Gibbs and Truex made it in on points. Truex barely made it in points. If you didn't watch Darlington, he took himself a little early, and he called it himself. He said that was his mistake on his end. So for me, going on to the round of 12, I have Larson, Reddick, Byron, Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott, Keselowski, Logano, Bowman, Bell, Gibbs, Truex Jr., which takes out Burton, Briscoe, Suarez, and Cindric for me.
We pretty much got the same drivers. Mine are a little bit different order, but yeah, we pretty much got the same. We've pretty much got the same for the round of 12. Who you got for your round of 8?
So moving on to round of 8, Larson, Reddick, Byron, Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott, Logano, Truex.
Are you kidding me?
What?
Are you kidding me?
No. Is it the same for you?
Do you hate Christopher Bell that much?
No, I don't think...
He's made the final for the past 2 years. And you've got him going out in the round of 12?
I don't know what to tell you.
I'll just go ahead and say it. The only difference that I see, I'm looking here, because I've got Byron, Blaney, Hamlin. Okay, I have Truex going out in the round of 12 instead of Christopher Bell.
Okay. So we have.
I've got Christopher Bell moving on and Truex not moving on.
So
I just don't think that Truex's season so far has warranted moving past the round of 12. I mean, I hope he surprises me. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't see it happening.
Well, I'm kind of gambling with Truex, because I believe he can easily make it through round of 16 on just points purely. Round of 12 is going to be a little more difficult, especially with Talladega being right in the middle. But I think he's going to come into the Roval and possibly win the Roval, because we've seen him run really well at the Roval in past times. So I'm thinking he's going to surprise us with a win there, which moves him on to the round of 8. So that's kind of was my thinking. So that's
good, because I was thinking he'd get his first win of the year at Watkins Glen. I think Watkins Glen is going to be a battle between him and William Byron. William pretty much dominated Watkins Glen last year, but Truex runs really, really well at Watkins Glen. But thinking about the Roval, I think this is Chase Elliott's year to get back on to doing what he did for a long time there early in his career when he started winning races and started winning on the road courses. And I just think that the Roval is going to fall into Chase's hands this year. The way it's all playing out.
Also understandable. We've seen him win the Roval back to back. He did the same with Watkins Glen.
And then there's Talladega.
Yeah.
And then there's Talladega too. Talladega could very easily take out I mean, we could have half of our round of 8 wrong because of Talladega.
Yeah, Talladega is such a wild card. So we'll just have to wait and see. But this is what I got. I'll pull yours up so they can see. I know it's pretty much the same. Well, I mean, it is the same. The only difference is instead of Truex in round of 8, you have
I've got
Christopher.
Bill.
You've got Christopher Bell. So
Yep.
Duke Ryder has the same, literally the same, except for round of 8. But so instead of Truex, he has Christopher Bell. So we were kind of interesting how we're thinking of the same thing except for one driver, which at the same time is no surprise.
Well, and another thing we need to think about with the round of 12 is Kansas. Kansas is a Toyota track. I know that Kyle Larson won there back in spring this year, but I believe it was Kyle Larson that won there. But Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, if they're not top 3, if they're not the top 3 finishers at Kansas, I'm gonna be shocked. Just because of how well Toyota runs at Kansas. And that's the same way within the round of 8, you've got Las Vegas. If it's not Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Ryan Blaney running up front, and even Joey Logano running up front at Las Vegas, I'm going to be shocked.
I would absolutely agree with you on that one. So I will.
I mean, Martinsville and Homestead in the round of 8, that's anybody's game because a lot of these drivers won at Homestead.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why we're saving. We're definitely going to do a podcast between the round of 8 and the championship race because of how interesting this playoff run this year. With you've got Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol in the round of 16. You've got Kansas, Talladega, and the Roval in the round of 12. And then the round of 8, you've got, I believe it starts at Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Miami, Homestead, and then you've got Martinsville.
Yep.
Okay, so all 3 rounds this year are toss-up rounds. The round of 8, in my opinion, is probably the most predictable round round this year because of Atlanta and Watkins Glen and Talladega and the Roval. Because Bristol, we know who's good at Bristol. They're always good at Bristol. Kansas, we know who's good at Kansas. They're always good at Kansas. Las Vegas, we know who's good at Vegas. They're always good at Vegas. But you've got Homestead with there's so many people that could win. Martinsville is a toss-up because Martinsville, unless they do something with the tire, Martinsville it's gotten to where if you get into first, you're going to stay in the first. And with the way NASCAR set it, the way NASCAR set the rules, that if Joey Logano is going into turn 3 in Martinsville and Martin Truex is leading and he wrecks him, Joey Logano is not going to advance.
Yep.
His win will not count towards playoffs. NASCAR has set the rules.
Yep.
And NASCAR had better abide by them. If anybody wrecks anybody in the playoffs and doesn't have that win taken away from them, then NASCAR, of course, I already think that NASCAR did Austin Dillon a disservice.
Yep.
If NASCAR wanted to lay the line down.
Oh, hold on. We paused. That may just be because I quit the sharing screen. Uh-oh. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe. I'm going to pause the stream because more internet issues. As you were saying about Austin Dillon.
Anyway, I think NASCAR really, really messed up with the Austin Dillon call. Did he cross the line? Yes. But this was a line that NASCAR drew. I mean, this was a scenario that NASCAR set up. And I promise you, when we go back to Richmond next year, especially now that Richmond's down to one date, that will be played over and over and over again in promotional material. Had they wanted to make a statement, so to speak, they should have said, okay, look, yeah, he crossed the line. No, we don't agree with what he did, but that is the way that the rules read. So there's nothing we can do, but we're going to change the rules, and that better not happen again. So anyway, but they didn't. They let him keep the win. They took his playoff eligibility away. And my thing is when it happens, because it's going to happen, when it happens in the playoffs, they better penalize whoever did it with the same penalty. Your win will not move you into the next round. You keep the trophy, you keep the money, but you're not getting anything for it. And it will happen. I promise you, it's going to happen in the playoffs. It may happen
Absolutely.
at Watkins Glen. It may happen at Watkins Glen. It may happen at the Roval. It may happen at Martinsville. It may happen at Phoenix for the championship. If it happens, NASCAR had better right then and there say this is not going to count. You keep the win, you keep the trophy. If it happens at Phoenix, I don't care if the person that would have won the race wins the race and the rest of them finish 34th, 35th, and 36th. Whoever finishes 34th had better be the champion.
No, I agree.
Of course, you'd be, unless you're, of course, but I mean, you could wreck on the last lap at Phoenix and finish 34th. Be wrecked out of the lead on the last lap at Phoenix and finish 34th. It could happen. So I'm just saying NASCAR's put themselves now in a box with this penalty to Austin Dillon. They better live in the box. And we've seen they've done this before. They've put themselves in a box. But then when it came down to it and they actually had to live up to it, they didn't do it.
Right. Absolutely.
So, and the sad thing is nobody held them accountable for it before. The fans had better hold them accountable for it this time.
Yep. I agree.
So, and I did Austin Dillon cross the line? Absolutely. With the Denny Hamlin thing, I think he came down too much on Denny. Did Denny come up and wreck himself? I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that was on Austin, but I think Austin put himself in that situation to where it appeared that it was his fault. So, NASCAR has a guilty until proven innocent situation, and even though he went in with a DNA test that proved his innocence, NASCAR still said it didn't match up. So, but either which way, NASCAR's put themselves in a box. They better keep up with that box.
Yep.
If Joey Logano wrecks Martin Truex coming out of turn 4 in Martinsville, then Joey better not go to the Final Four.
I agree.
So, that's just now. Even if Truex is in a win or you're in, and Joey knocks him out of the way, and Joey wins and Truex finishes second, that doesn't mean Truex moves into the championship 4. That just means whoever's next in line in points moves in.
Right.
But if it happens, NASCAR had better stay in the box that they've put themselves in.
Absolutely.
Don't try to weasel your way out and say, well, he didn't wreck him. Because yes, he did. Because he did not. Austin Dillon did not wreck Joey Logano. Joey Logano wrecked Joey Logano. Austin Dillon and everybody, even the some of the guys on the podcast that we talk about all the time, mentioned that Joey Logano let off and Austin Dillon drove in as hard as he had been driving in all night. He didn't drive in any harder than he had been, but Joey let off earlier. Joey spun his car out. Joey got tapped from behind and couldn't save it. If Joey would have just kept his car straight and went up the hill, this probably never would have happened.
Yep.
And then Austin turned down to avoid Joey, and turning down to avoid Joey put him on Hamlin's quarter panel, which I think caused Hamlin to get loose. And in following, yes, he was following the natural racing line of coming up the track. But how many times has somebody been on your door and you've had to stay lower than the normal racing line to keep from wrecking? And, had Hamlin stayed down, it never would have happened. But I think Dillon got him loose, and Hamlin decided, well, I'm winning this race one way or the other, and came up across Dillon's nose and wrecked himself. But, that's my observation. I've looked at the SMT data. I don't understand it. As drivers and crew chiefs and engineers understand it, I understand it the way it was explained. And Denny Hamlin himself said that Austin was in a normal radius for the turn. He wasn't outside the normal box. He wasn't turning hard to the left. He was just turning left, as the corner requires you to turn left. So NASCAR's put themselves in a box. All I'm saying, they better stay in it.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. They need to stay in it, because if they don't, hopefully the fans call them out, because we know they've put themselves in a box before, as you said, and they weren't called out on it. But hopefully this time, if something does happen, that they're kept in their box and stay in their box as they should be. So,
and that's whether you agree with me or not, because there's a lot of fans out there that don't agree. They think that Dillon wrecked them both. If you think Dillon wrecked them both, that's fine. I'm not going to argue that point with you. I've stated my case on that. But you better hold NASCAR's feet to the fire if somebody wrecks somebody else on the last corner of the last lap at Martinsville to get into the Final Four. You better call them out, because it's going to be the same thing. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
absolutely.
I think it's going to happen.
Absolutely. We've seen it once. We'll see it again, I'm sure. So, yeah.
I mean, they did have to outlaw the Hail Melon that Ross Chastain did a few years ago. But now let's put this on that same scale. Had they come out and said, look, Ross Chastain crossed the line. He went way farther above the line than we ever anticipated, that we ever expected anybody to do. Because of that, we're going to disqualify him from being in the championship for Denny Hamlin's in, because Denny was the next person on points. Okay. They would have put themselves in a similar box. But they did the smart thing. They said, look, we never saw it coming. It was a brilliant move. We don't ever want to see it again. Ross earned his way. It was brilliant. It was dangerous. We don't ever want to see it again. That's what they should have done with Austin Dillon.
Absolutely.
He did what he had to do. We don't ever want to see it again. They didn't do that.
Nope. But I agree with that they should have said, great, understand, you're racing it your way in, you're trying to get in, you're in a must-win situation, don't do it again, kind of thing. Like you said, I think that would have been a better approach to how it was, instead of having to go the way they went and take away his playoff eligibility, because I don't think that was the right call, and it sucks to see that Dillon and RCR lost that appeal, because I know they appealed it. That was sad news, because it would have been great to see Austin running in the playoffs. I don't think he would have went far, but still, it makes a huge difference for that team.
the bad thing about that is that would have knocked Martin Truex out.
That is also true.
But then again, knowing that, I think Martin would have raced Darlington a little more conservative than he did had that been the situation. So
Absolutely.
But then there's the other penalty that we need to talk about with Denny Hamlin's Bristol win being taken away. So I'm sure you've heard about this. If you haven't, this is what happened. Denny Hamlin won at Bristol back in the spring.
Right.
NASCAR requires teams to run an engine at least 2 times.
Right.
They seal the engine. Okay, after when it's run the first time, they seal it. That way, NASCAR seals it, not the teams. If that engine wins, they put a different color seal on that engine. So basically, after the engine is ran, NASCAR comes, they look at it, they seal it. All right. If it wins, they seal it with a different color than what they would normally seal it with. Okay. Toyota, then they use that engine in another race. I cannot remember which other race. So that race, that engine was done. It was used the maximum or the minimum amount of times that NASCAR allows it to be used, at least. So at that point, JGR is supposed to box that engine up and send it to the NASCAR R&D Center for NASCAR to unseal it and break that engine down. Somebody at JGR boxed this engine up and didn't send it to Charlotte, North Carolina. They sent it to California to TRD, where TRD broke the seal, tore the engine down. And now this supposedly happened back in June. Okay. Somebody at TRD figured out, I don't know if they saw the seals laying on somebody's desk or whatever, but somebody at TRD figured out,
yeah,
NASCAR was supposed to get this engine before we were.
Right.
But they had already tore it down and rebuilt it. And so TRD had to sit down with Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs, and say, we messed up. We've told NASCAR that we messed up. In response to this happening, NASCAR fined Denny Hamlin 75 driver points, Joe Gibbs Racing 75 owner points, and also took 10 playoff points away from them on both the owner and driver's side of the championship. This, in essence, cost Denny Hamlin any shot of winning the regular season championship.
Yep.
And also dropped Denny from, I believe, 3rd to 8th in points, which also cost him more, I think 4 to 5 more playoff points after the regular season was over, because the top 10 get playoff points based on their position.
Right.
So this is a possibly 15 point playoff point swing, plus 75 driver points. Of course, the driver points don't mean anything now that the reset, but at least a minimum of 14 playoff points here that Denny Hamlin is behind, that he would have had above the cut line. This is a big penalty, and this was a big screw up by a big team and a big engine supplier. And it took them a long time to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if they would have figured this out next week after Atlanta?
It would have changed a lot, that's for sure.
And NASCAR would have came in and taken away 15 playoff points, because you got to think the playoffs have started. He got playoff points for his position in the regular season standings. So NASCAR is going to take away more playoff points than what they did. And then on top of that, they're going to hit you with another 75-point regular point penalty. That's going to drop Denny to 16th in the standings with a must win to advance.
Yep.
Situation. Now that's hinting to Toyota self-reporting like they did. What if they'd have gotten to Bristol, after Bristol, Denny's locked into the next round. NASCAR figures out we're missing the Bristol engine from the spring. We have not looked at it yet. Where's that Bristol engine? Call Joe Gibbs, and Joe Gibbs would be like, all right, well, let me trace it with our paperwork. Oh, we sent that to Toyota. So now NASCAR has to call Toyota, and Toyota's like, well, let us find it. And they find it, and they're like, yeah, we already broke it down. What do you think the penalty would have been on that one?
Ooh. That's a good question. It would be more than what they've already given, I would say. I don't know exactly what they would do. My guess would be obviously points deduction would be the biggest thing, I would say. But I could also see them going as far as, yeah, you won Bristol Fall race, you're locked in the next round. You're not going to next round, period, because of this incident. I could see NASCAR doing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that they would remove him from the round of 8 totally.
Yeah.
Or the round of 12. Move somebody in, whoever the next point person would have been in on that.
Yep.
Move them in and drop him out. And then I also think they would have given him a penalty to the point. Yes, he would have finished 16th in points, but they would have penalized him by like 200 points or something, 250, to where there's no possible way that he could even catch 15th in points.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, this is a big, major mistake. And I think it's a possibility. Keep him out. He may not even make the round of 8 because of this penalty. If he has a bad Talladega, if he doesn't win Kansas, he has a bad Talladega, gets in a wreck at Talladega, gets in an early wreck at Talladega, and then goes out and has a mid to mediocre run at the Roval, he could miss out, because we've seen him miss the next round by 1 to 2 points.
Yep.
So a 14-point swing, he could miss out on the round of 8.
Yeah.
Really easily. I mean, he could miss out on the round of 12. He gets in a wreck at Atlanta.
Yeah. It is possible.
And then doesn't win the next 2 races. One of the next 2 races, and maybe runs 15th at Watkins Glen and then finishes 5th at Bristol. That's not going to get him into the next round. He could miss out on that by 1 point. I mean, this could be a championship ending penalty, but on the other side, it could also be a championship winning penalty, because this may motivate that team to push harder and push further.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree.
Which, as somebody, I love Denny's podcast. I love listening to his analysis. Don't necessarily always agree with his analysis, especially like with the Austin Dillon situation. Not a big fan of Denny on the racetrack, mainly because he drives a Toyota. And not really a big fan of FedEx either. FedEx, their tracking system isn't as good as UPS's. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
So if he didn't make it to the next round, it really wouldn't hurt my feelings. But putting that aside, I mean, this could be a championship ending or a championship winning move situation.
Right. We'll just have to wait and see what he can pull off, if he can pull off something. So, yeah.
Well, that's all silly season. That's all the penalties that I can remember.
Well, there
That's
was
all the
one.
penalties that had any sort of impact.
Yeah.
Was
So,
there another one?
there was just the Joey Logano penalty, which was when Dylan got his penalty, but that was because of pit road incidents, or not really an incident, but that was just more.
That was money.
Yeah. So.
But we could talk about that for a minute because that was stupid. I mean, there are people walking across pit road, and you're down there with a broken track bar, which means you can't control the rear of your car, and you're doing a burnout on pit road. I could see a Carson Hocevar doing that. I could see a Zane Smith doing that, but not a two-time Cup Series champion doing that under any. I understand. You know what? He was upset. But and then the other problem with this is he got out of the car and he said that was a chicken poop move. Okay. Joey Logano has made those chicken poop moves multiple times in his career.
Absolutely.
Including in 2018 when he pretty much wrecked Martin Truex to win at Martinsville.
Yep.
He did it on Matt Kenseth at Kansas one year. Luckily got what he deserved a few weeks later when Matt just totally wadded him up in the wall. Which they suspended Matt for 2 races for that, but they shouldn't have. They should have given freaking Matt a medal for doing that. That was, in my opinion, that was the greatest wrecking moment in NASCAR history. But come on, Joey, don't do something stupid like that on pit road and then get out and call a driver out for doing something that you yourself have done in the past. Heck, I remember it wasn't that long ago that he caused Denny Hamlin to miss a few races with a back injury and then put Kyle Busch in the wall in the same race at Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was either Vegas or California. I can't remember which, but either which way, Denny Hamlin missed some races because he injured his back because of Joey Logano with a chicken poop move.
Right.
We keep this clean because we do know that there are some kids that watch this. Plus we try not to use those words anyway. But yeah, that's you. This is literally a case of the dog calling the other dog a dog. I know people use this as a pot calling the kettle black sort of situation, but I mean, let's face it, pans come in all different colors now: pink, purple, green, gray, charcoal, whatever. This is literally a dog calling a dog a dog.
Yep.
I mean, or in Joey's words, this is a chicken calling a chicken a chicken.
Yep.
So Joey, I mean, I'm glad you brought that penalty up. But he got exactly what we thought he'd get. He got a monetary fine. In Joey Logano's book, $50,000 probably didn't hurt him too much. I mean, he may not get to take. He may miss a week's vacation this off season.
No.
Right. I doubt it. But hopefully it was enough to at least get his attention that that was stupid.
Yep.
But yeah, I know there was a few Xfinity penalties, but it was nothing that's playoff. And I think there was even a couple truck penalties, but nothing that's playoff impacting.
Right.
That we really need to discuss. So I think that and then we got our round of 8 at least, and we'll see here in a few weeks how wrong we were.
Yeah.
Again,
Hopefully.
we'll try to do one between the round of 16 and the round of 12. We'll try to do one between the round of 12 and round of 8, which we might have totally different brackets when we get to the round of 12. Who knows? Austin Cindric may go out and win at Atlanta and Harrison Burton win at Watkins Glen, but I'm not gonna.
Okay. But no, we'll
I'm
see.
definitely not gonna put any money on that. But
I
we'll
would.
see schedules permitting, because you're going to be really really busy for the next 3-4 weeks. So
Yep.
and then the week after the round of 8, when the round of 12 concludes, between the round of 12 and the round of 8, we're all going to be pretty busy. So,
Yeah. So.
we'll just have to see how the schedule permits.
Yep.
But hey, we might get to do that one in person
Yeah. Maybe.
together.
So we'll have to wait and
Uh,
see. But that is
so
kind of the schedule permitting. That is the plan. Hopefully we'll get one in there. If not, you may just have to wait till after round of 8. But we'll try to squeeze one of the two, if not both of them, in there. Just like he said, schedule permitting. I'm really busy these next few weeks. I get this week and next week is kind of really the only 2 weeks I get to chill, and then I'm booked for the next 4 or 5 weeks after that. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll get to do those. But with that, nothing else really on my end. Did you have anything else on your end?
nope, that's pretty much all I got.
All right. So not going to do very many shout outs. You've heard them all before. As I said, if you've missed any podcast episodes in the past, I'll have a link in the description to the playlist with all the episodes. It does include the one that we live stream while we were playing a game. You may have missed that one just because it was different, but it's in the playlist as well. So make sure you go check all those out, including our preview, as we kind of mentioned multiple times during this episode. From that was when we discussed driver lineups and our playoff predictions, which we were somewhat wrong on, but that's okay. That's the fun of it. So there's also multiple podcasts and multiple Twitter, X accounts, whatever you want to call that we use to help us get our information. All their links are down in the description below. So go check them out. Give the podcast a listen. Check them out on Twitter and X. I'll also mention Circle B Diecast. Gotta love Circle B.
Yes.
Normally he does that part, but
Hey, we got our couch racer gear here too, so we got we rep them. The hat is a couch racer hat. The shirt is a couch racer shirt.
I like the hat.
Check
that's
out
sure.
Couch Racer. They got this on a shirt. We actually have the shirts too, but I figured I probably needed to wear different.
Yeah, that's fair. That I like the hat too. So check out Couch Racer. Check out their merch. Check out Circle B Diecast for all your diecast needs. Shout outs to them. And then for our sponsored shout outs, of course, if you missed a stream last time, I have a new partnership with a new apparel company. It is called Undrdog Athletix. They are a Christian-based athletic company. As you can see, this is one of their tank tops or muscle shirts, whatever you want to call it, sleeveless shirts, whatever. It says God's Soldier. So if you're a Christian athlete, go rep them. Rep your faith. Make sure to give the glory to God. Use code SterlingRider01 for 15% off at checkout. Down in the description below is the link. Don't forget Rankest Rope Ranch Wear for your Western/rodeo mix-up needs. Shirts, hats, beanies, hoodies, button-ups. They're about to release a new Wild Western collection tomorrow. Drops at midnight, so make sure you check that out. Also, I'm wearing their livestock hoodie. So check them out. Use code SilverDuke01 for 15% off. And last but not least, Dubby for all of your energy drink needs. This stuff is good. They just released a new flavor called Dub Sauce. It's passion fruit juice sauce. Haven't tried it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So go check out their new flavor. And it's not 10% off anymore. It is now 20% off at checkout when you use code SterlingRider for Dubby. So thank you to Dubby. They've been with me since I've started the channel pretty much. Thank you to Rankest Rope Ranchwear and Undrdog Athletix. Thank you to those three. So yeah, that's all I got. All their links will be in the description down below, along with the podcast. Podcasts we listen to, people on X and Twitter, including our X and Twitter handles, and then the sponsors, of course, and then the podcast list for you to go watch if you've missed any podcasts. So thank you again, guys, for watching. Anything else?
Well, yeah, you can tell we live in different parts of the country because I've got fans and all kinds of stuff around me and short sleeves and shorts, and you're wearing a hoodie.
Yes. Yes.
So, in case you haven't noticed, we live in totally different weather climates right now. He's where it's cold.
Very.
And I'm where, of course, today it's mild because it's raining outside, but still in this little office that I'm in, it's hot in here.
But yeah, it's just how it is. So
that's all I got, yo. Y'all watch the races. A lot of fans complain about the point system, and we've pretty much said that we are not in favor of the playoff system. I'm much for a full season championship point system. But regardless of whatever point system they use, we're still going to watch the races. We don't like the cup cars, the numbers being moved on the cup cars. Guess what? We still watch every cup race. I mean, because we enjoy the sport, because we love NASCAR, because we love auto racing. Watch the races. Encourage your friends to watch the races. If you got a local short track around you, if you got a 1 mile dirt track, take your friends to the races one weekend, especially your non-racing friends. I don't like racing. All they do is go in circles. Take them to the racetrack. I promise you. SterlingRider knows this because he's experienced it at Five Flags. I've experienced it at different tracks up in Illinois. When you go to the racetrack, it's a totally different experience than watching it on television. You take them once, they're going to be hooked. They're going to watch every kind of racing they can watch. So don't be down on NASCAR just because you don't like decisions that they make as far as the looks of the cars or the point systems. Watch the races anyway. Support the sponsors. Support your drivers. Pick you a driver. Cheer for them. Boo the others. But love the sport. I mean, we love the sport so much that we're doing a podcast about the sport. Even though we don't agree with a lot of the things that they do. Right. Love the sport. Support the sport. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, good words. Give it a shot. Invite your friends. Go to the racetrack. It's a lot of fun. It's really different than watching it on TV. So just show some support. It's appreciated. So, yeah, that's all I got as well. So thank you again, guys, for watching. All the links down in the description. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you check out the other podcast episodes we've done in the past if you missed any. And check out the sponsors. All three are great sponsors. So thank you guys again. We'll see you next time, whenever that may be, schedule permitting. So peace out. Stop it. You're stealing my thunder. I'm never doing that again. That was weird. Anyways, peace out. Right on. God bless.